Let's dive into Maggie's training so we can stay consistent at home. Whenever she's doing behaviors that we want to keep seeing, whether that's following our commands or she's just being nice and calm, we want to reinforce and reward those behaviors with either praise, petting, or treats. And then when she's doing things that we don't want to see, whether that's not following our commands or she's jumping up on us, we want to decrease those behavior with following through with our training equipment. So let's go over Maggie's training equipment. This is her prong collar. She's going to wear this whenever she is on a leash. How we take this on and off is we're going to secure one of the links and push through like so. To put it back together, we are going to pinch this prong and put it through the holes of the other prong. And then how we use this, say she is in the heel command. Heel is that nice loose leash walking on the left side. Say she starts to pull ahead or does something that we don't want to see in the heel. We're going to say no, marking an incorrect behavior that we don't want to see. Follow through with a pop of the leash, and then we remind her heel. So no, pop, heel. And then, of course, when she gets back to where we want her, verbal praise, petting, and treats to reinforce where we want her to be. Now with the remote collar, how we turn this on and off. Red dot on both the collar and the remote. We touch these together. This turns on the collar. That green light flashing means it's on, charged, and ready to go. On and off button on the back of the remote. We're going to push and hold until you see the screen light up. You're going to see level 25 appear on the screen. This is Maggie's working level. Then we're going to focus on the black S button. S just stands for stimulation, so it's kind of like an electric muscle stimulator. So, say we're in the heel again. Heel is that nice loose leash walking. Says she does anything that we don't want to see. No. Marking the incorrect behavior. Follow through. Black S button. Heel. No. Button. Heel. And then depending on the level of distraction that we have with Maggie, we may use one of these. We may use both of these. It depends on the situation that we are in. With the prong collar, I suggest having this on in the house in the beginning to introduce new boundaries and commands in the house. And then we can slowly fade away from where we don't have the leash on in the house. With the remote collar, it's going to be the first thing that we put on the morning, and then it's going to be the last thing that we take off at night. So we always have that form of communication with Maggie throughout the day. If you do put her in a crate throughout the day, you are more than welcome to take it off. But as soon as she's outside of that crate, we put it back on so we can communicate with Maggie. Now that is all of her training equipment. Let's go over her commands. We've already kind of gone over the heel. So whenever we take her out on walks, about 80 to 90% of our walks should be in the heel command. The other 10 to 20%, we can give her the release word free. Free means she's not in any set command. That's going to be her time to go do her business and do her thing. That's where we're going to follow her rather than her following us. Now we have sit. Sit means stay is implied. So with this, whenever we're doing door manners, this is really good so she can't just bolt through doors. So whenever we approach a door, whether it's inside or outside, we'll have Maggie sit. Sit means stay is implied. So as we're opening the door, if she gets up, we're going to follow through the training equipment, get her back into the sit, and then we're going to do it again until she gets it right so we can set the same boundaries at home that we have here at the facility. Say she sits and stays great, then we can either heel through the door with Maggie or we can tell her free and she can go out on her own. Depends on the situation that we are in. Now we have down. Down also means stay as implied. With down, we're never going to release Maggie from a distance. So we're never going to walk 10 feet away from Maggie whenever she's in a down and then call her to us, because then she will get rewarded for coming to us and not staying in that down stay. So with all of her stay commands, whether it's place, down, or sit, we're never going to call her to us whenever we are a distance away. So she can get rewarded for staying in the stay portion of the command. So when we're practicing down, wherever we put her in a down, we're going to go back to Maggie and release her from where she's at. Also, when we reward, we're going to reward as low to the ground as possible so she knows where that positive zone is. Say we're working on the down and Maggie gets up and she comes over to us. No big deal. We're going to follow through the training equipment. We're going to take her back to wherever she was in that down stay, put her back, do whatever it was that made her get up, and then we can go over to her and reward her. So that way she knows she has to stay down even though we're doing other distractions. Now we have place. Place is a boundary stay, ideally on an elevated bed. This is really good for whenever you're having guests coming over or when you're eating dinner. So that way Maggie can experience everything, but she's going to be on that place boundary stay. So with this, never release her from a distance so she can always get rewarded for staying on place. When you first start out, I would suggest having the leash on just in case she gets up. We have a way to guide her back, especially when you add in bigger distractions for the first time like Yaz. So when we're practicing this one, do a distraction, go back to Maggie. We can reward her on the place bed so she knows where that positive zone is. And then we're going to release her from where the bed is. Never call her from a distance. And then just like with the down, say Maggie gets up, we're going to take the leash, we're going to guide her back to the place bed, and then we're going to do whatever it is that made Maggie get up, and then we can go give her a reward. Now we have come when called. When practicing this one, I would suggest using a 30 to 50 foot leash just in case she gets extra distracted and we have to reel her into us. Whenever we're practicing this one, we'll give her the release word free, let her go do her own thing and get distracted, because ideally we need her to be distracted so we can practice this in a sense that may happen outside of training. So we'll let her go get distracted and do her own thing. Whenever we're going to call her to us, we're going to say come in a loud, firm tone, praise her as she's coming to us, backing up just a little bit to invite her into our space, have her sit, and then give her the reward. With this one, we're going to reward every single time so she can start building up reward history, which is just rewarding for a command every time, and that's going to give her positive association with coming into our space and doing this command. Say Maggie gets extra distracted out there, we ask her to come to us, she doesn't respond. What we're going to do, say no, marking that incorrect behavior of not coming to us out there. We're going to follow through with the training equipment, and then we're going to call her again, and then we're going to go right back into that praising, so that way she knows that even though she made a mistake out there, we are always going to do the positive fun zone. And then of course we're still going to reward her if she does make a mistake, because we want her to know our space is positive. Now we have leave it. Leave it just means don't grab that. So when you're practicing this one, start out with dog safe foods just in case she does grab it off the floor. What you can do is toss it on the ground, say leave it. If she does, great. If not, follow through with the training equipment and then guide her into a different scenario if you need to. I would suggest having the leash and prong on just in case we have to guide her into a different scenario. We have a leash that we can communicate with it. So that is all of Maggie's commands. So with her, we want to reinforce and reward all of those good behaviors that we want to keep seeing, like following our commands or just being nice and calm. And then we also want to follow through with our training equipment so we can decrease some unwanted behaviors that we're seeing from Maggie. But that is everything. We're going to watch Maggie do her commands. We're going to have fun, stay consistent, and here she is.
Heel. Good girl, Maggie. Good girl, Maggie. Oh, want that? Free. Heel. Heel. Good. Heel. 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 Good, Maggie. Heel. 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 Good, Maggie. Sit. Good girl. Down. Good girl. Down. Good. Down, Maggie. Down. Good. Down. Down. Good girl. Good. Down. Girl, Maggie. Down. Free. Good girl, Maggie. Free. Okay. Good job, Maggie. Leave it. I know. Good job. Good job. Look. Okay. Good job. Maggie. Leave it. Good girl. Maggie. Free. Good job, Maggie. Maggie. Good girl. Yeah. Place. Place.
Let's dive into the other features of the remote. We've already gone over how to turn it on and the red or the black S button. So now let's go over the other features. How we turn it off, it's going to be the same thing as turning it on. Both the red dots, we're going to touch these together. That red light means the collar itself is off. On and off button on the back of the remote, we're going to push and hold until the screen goes blank. Then I'm going to go ahead and turn it back on, and we're going to go over the other buttons on the remote. We've gone over that black S button. That black S button is going to be whatever number you see on the screen. So say Maggie is not responding to this level that we have on the screen, or you're noticing she's having too much of a reaction. What we can do is hold down on this dial until that 1D at the top of the screen starts flashing, and then we can rotate this to whatever number we think is going to work for Maggie. Right now, level 25 has been working for her, but once she gets a little bit older and a little bit more mature, she may need a little bit lower of a level, and that's completely okay. How we're going to lock this in place is we're going to hold down on the dial until everything stops flashing, so that way when we put it in our pocket, we can't accidentally change it. Now, right underneath the black S button, we have the red S button. This is a boost feature. So when her level is 25, if we press the red S button, it is going to jump it from 25 to 45. So whatever number you see on the screen, it's going to jump it 20 levels. This is a boost feature that we can use when Maggie is doing something dangerous and isn't responding to the black S button. So say she's chasing a car and we've asked her to come to us and she's not responding. We've tried the black S button, she's not responding to it. The red S button is to communicate with her when she's in that high adrenaline situation, because level 25 reaches about here when nothing's going on. When she's chasing a car, she's up here. So now we have an instant way to communicate with Maggie when she's doing something dangerous. So red S button is for emergency cases if she's doing something and not responding. Now on the other side, we have the T button. This is a vibrate feature. We like to use this to make sure that the collar is on and ready to go, so that when we put it on Maggie, we know it's working. When she gets further into her training and you're noticing that she's just doesn't really need the stimulation, but she needs a little bit of a reminder, you can kind of give her a vibrate to let her know you're pushing the boundaries. Now on the back of the remote, we have this M/C button. This stands for momentary or continuous. In the beginning, we started out at a very low level at continuous to introduce the remote in a positive way. And then we switch over into the momentary at a little bit of a higher level when she gets further into her training. So she should stay on momentary the rest of her training. Now the on and off button also works as a flashlight feature. So instead of holding it to turn it off, we are going to press it. This is going to be a flashing flashlight. Press it twice, solid flashlight, press it again, it turns it off. So that way if you let Maggie out at night, you have a way to see where she is and what she's doing. Underneath the on and off button, we have the charging port for the remote. And then in between the prongs of the remote or the collar, we have the charging port. These stays charged for about 2 days if she wears it for 12 to 14-hour days. So if you charge it every other day, you should be good. This also starts to blink orange and red to let you know whenever it's starting to die. So that way when you know when to charge it. It comes with a dual charger, so you can charge them both at the same time. And then with Maggie, I know she has a little bit of shorter hair, but it is kind of getting longer. So this does come with longer prongs. If you notice that her shorter prongs aren't making good contact with her skin, they've been doing just fine while she's been here, but if she gets a little bit longer of hair, you may have to switch her over. You'll just have to watch and make sure those prongs are making good contact. At the bottom of the box, we have the manual. So if you want to know anything else about the remote or you're just curious about other features, absolutely read it. That's what it is there for. Now, both the collar and the remote are waterproof, so no big deal if it gets wet, but if Maggie's going to stay wet for an extended period of time, I would recommend rotating the collar so that way it's not irritating and rubbing one part of her neck a little bit too much and becoming a rash. Now, at the back of the box, we have the company. This does have a 2-year warranty, so if you have any issues, you are more than welcome to get in contact with them, and hopefully they can get something sent over to you if something happens with her remote collar. But that is everything about the extra features of the remote. So just like in the beginning, we're going to have fun and stay consistent, and that's everything.